Hey guys, we're going to get to 90s Percentile in just a minute, but first we want to let you know about We Studio's latest offering. Not one, but 2 new episodes of Sync Points, our movie commentary series.
What?
Yeah. I don't know if you heard this, but it's in honor, I don't know if honor is the right word, of the new Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice movie coming out.
Justice is dawning in the Sync Points hallways.
So we've got a Sync Points for Batman, the 1989 Tim Burton, Michael Keaton original.
Okay.
That's coming out March 8th, which is a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
And then 1 week later, March 15th, another Tuesday, is we're going to do Superman Returns.
All right, and that's currently streaming on HBO Go and HBO Now.
Yeah, Batman's on Netflix, Superman's on HBO. Maybe you have the DVD, maybe you don't, but check those out. And
Jack, I would be willing to pay up to $4 to get both of those commentary tracks.
if you want one, it's $2 each. You want both, $4.
Amazing.
Obviously,
an absolute bargain at any price.
We have hundreds of hours of free content, but this is more to help support the show and pay for bandwidth, all that stuff.
Right. So just buy it and don't even listen to it. We don't care. We just want the $2.
You can use it as a doorstop. I don't know how you could use an intangible audio commentary, but
you'd have to convert it into code and then print it out and then use that stack of paper as a doorstop.
But check out our newest Sync Points as soon as they're out. And if you want other content, there's always the Simpsons podcast.
There is WePodcast.com.
WePodcast.com. WePodcast.com.
And hey, while you're there, if you do want to support the show, click our Amazon links and then just shop like you normally would. That gives us a cut and that keeps the shows free, keeps the content rolling.
Awesome. So let's talk some 90s.
Let's do it.
Thanks, guys. 60 minutes are on the clock, and straight out of We Studios, this is 90s Percentile. My name is Jack.
And my name is Dan, and we're talking everything 90s, and maybe also everything before and after.
And talking 90s and before and after with us today is Nick Noga. How's it going, Nick?
All right, enthusiasm's up at the beginning of the podcast.
We are nothing at We Studios if not passionate.
I mean, we've been in the room for several hours. We're just pretending like we just got here.
Right. Well, nobody. I didn't say 60 minutes are on the clock and we just got here. I didn't say that. There's no misrepresenting.
I'm saying hello.
We all ran in and we're like ready to go.
We just recorded our Sync Points for Batman the movie, which is probably out by now. Check it out. $2 for a DVD commentary track of Batman. I'm sure once we all see Batman versus Superman, we will be seeding it into any topic we end up getting.
And I know a listener is probably going, Batman, that came out in 89. Fuck you. Get it anyway. $2 it'll cost you. Go to WePodcast.com.
Wait, you're saying they don't want to spend the $2 because it's 1989?
This is a 90s podcast and that was an 80s movie.
I forgot. Yeah, you're right.
It led to a lot of 90s movies.
There you go.
And also, Batman is timeless.
And as you guys know, we have a random topic generator.
We sure
it's
do.
Topics that you guys submit to us, and we don't know what they're going to be until Dan presses that magic button. There could be either Batman sequels or movies inspired by Batman in there.
Yep.
Somebody who didn't know any better put Batman in 89.
It could be in there. No Man's Land. That was a 90s Batman thing that could come up.
No Ma'am from Married with Children.
That's a 90s thing that could come up. So, Nick, are you ready for any of these topics to potentially come up?
I wasn't listening to any of them.
All right, that's perfect. You are a perfect guest, and we're happy to have you.
I was mesmerized by the stupid clock.
Yes, we do have a stupid clock. We have a stupid clock that's staring us in the face to remind us
gigantic.
We don't cut.
We like to have that there. Yes, this is all live.
I feel like we're all going to die at the end of this thing.
Oh, well, you are. I don't know about Jack
We've done this 8 times, and so far only one person has died at the end of the clock, and it was a coincidence.
Yeah, sorry about that, Jeff.
So what's our first topic?
All right, so
by
here
the
we
way, if you've noticed, Nick is a kind of a hostile witness type of guest, so don't blame us for the race war comments that is in the Batman Sync Points.
There you go.
Available at Gumroad for $2.
That's right. WePodcast.com, everybody. Okay, so we are going to boot up the old random topic generator here, and here we go.
We got to get a sound effect for it.
Our first topic.
Exactly.
Our first topic is In Living Color, and that is suggested by our friend Dan Dennis.
Oh, thank you, Dan. In Living Color.
Okay, so that was a show.
Yeah. I'm sure we're all familiar with the basics, right?
It's a show we're all familiar with, and that's all we have to say.
Was that
all right? Let's move on.
Was that one of the shows that helped Fox with his ratings when Fox just started, or was it?
It definitely was. So, In Living Color, if you're not familiar, it was a television show, a sketch comedy show that came out in the 1990 through 94,
the late 90s. That's like the mid 90s.
It was right around the exact same time as The Simpsons.
Yeah, it was. So that was right when Fox was getting off the ground, and it was primarily created by the Wayans brothers. So you had not the Wayans brothers who did the show, the Wayans brothers. There's a lot of Wayans brothers.
It's not just the two of
It gets
those,
confusing. Yes, there was Keenan Ivory Wayans and Damon Wayans, and I think those were the two
according to
primarily
Wikipedia,
in charge.
there's
there's
Yeah.
always
their
right.
sister Kim Wayans.
She was on
Maybe.
it. According to this, the only created by credit is Keenan.
Right.
So
So there you go. Keenan Ivory Wayans and Damon Wayans Sr., not Damon Wayans Jr. There's a lot of Wayans.
Yeah,
They're taking over Hollywood.
for a second, I thought you were talking about Damon Wayans' father and Damon Wayans Jr.'s grandfather, but
Yep, Damon Wayans Jr.'s grandfather created In Living Color with a U that came out in the 1800s.
the Wayans were fresh off the boat from
I don't know
Liverpool.
Keenan from anything
There you
besides
go.
In Living Color. Besides In Living Color, what did Keenan Ivory Wayans
He
do?
was primarily, I think he's a director and a producer. I want to say he directed Blank Man. Maybe he wrote
Well,
it.
Keenan briefly had a talk show as well.
Did
was
he?
this
I don't
was
remember
In
that.
Living Color like his first thing, or did he have something before that?
When did
I'm pulling up the Keenan Ivory Wayans Sr. Wikipedia page.
I mean?
Oh,
don't,
he directed Hollywood Shuffle. He co-wrote it. That was the big Robert Townsend movie in 1987.
Yeah.
I
And
never-
wasn't there a spoof movie besides "Don't Drink Your Juice in the Hood" that he did?
Was it, I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna
Sucker?
get you,
Get You
sucker.
Sucker.
Yeah,
When-
that was a big movie.
when was
but
that?
that was after In Living Color. I think that came out of In Living Color.
Okay.
Not like a spin-off, but because of the
No,
success.
it's before. It's 1988.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Damon
Wow.
Wayans was actually on Saturday Night Live as a featured member. For
Yeah, he
like,
got fired.
Very briefly.
He
yeah.
was on. He was on the cast that everybody got fired except John.
But he
Lovitz.
didn't get fired because of that. He got fired mid-episode because he was so tired of getting small parts.
Right,
And
he kept getting pushed into the background.
Which, by the way, that's the business. Get over it, Damon. But anyway,
Well, I don't know about that.
anyway, maybe he
Get in line, black guy.
That's exactly what I was trying to avoid.
Yeah, come on.
You said it.
So I didn't say it. I feel like if you're on Saturday Night Live and you're getting
Just
bit
because you
parts,
said his name and I said black guy.
no, I'm saying anybody who's getting bit parts.
I
That's
think-
the show, you know.
But I think it was the type of parts he was getting. He
Right.
wasn't getting anything where he could display his comedic chops.
Exactly. Anyway, so there's a scene where he's playing a cop, which was he was always getting the part of like the background cop with one line. So he decided to randomly play it with his famous gay lisp
Like a
character
super
voice.
effeminate voice,
And he was
yeah.
just like, "What seems to be the problem?" You know, something like that. And it was ad lib, and Lorne Michaels hates when anybody goes off script, and he fired him that night.
By the way,
No.
Lorne Michaels, huge prick.
Okay.
All right, Nick was an intern for SNL.
were you really?
I
Yeah,
was
he worked
Lorne
for-
Michaels' assistant for a year.
Yeah.
I'm
Really?
not speaking out of my ass. But
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember when Ashley Simpson broke down on during that debacle where she sang the wrong lyrics or
Yeah, yeah.
the music was playing.
Right.
They sent Nick out to buy her a Nintendo 64 to make her feel better.
No,
Really?
I don't remember if that was before or after she did that, but I totally forgot about the N6. Now I remember. Yeah, I did have to go. I had to buy her like games and
Wouldn't
stuff.
that be a GameCube era though?
How old
Why-
was she? Was she like a child?
She was probably like
20 years
1920,
old or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Is she like
Now,
a gamer?
Now I don't know if this was something she requested or if this was
Oh my
something
god,
that
she's
there wa-
about to have a mental breakdown. Somebody
Now,
get Donkey Kong
now
Country.
Yeah, really?
Now, mind you, the producers on TV are not extremely smart people. They're just
Right.
They just got the job somehow and through nepotism or whatever. But yeah, they were like, "Oh, Nick, here, go get something for the musical guest. Here's a list of some games you can go and." I don't think I actually went and got them. Though.
Who put together the list of games?
I think there was this guy named Ken Among who works for Marcy Klein.
Is it?
He is a very nice guy.
I'm thinking maybe it's like how what was it? Was it Van Halen that the green M&Ms where they would give you
Right. It was they wanted all the brown M&Ms taken out.
Yeah, that way if you did that, if they
It was-
had a bowl with no brown M&Ms, they know that you also had all their speakers and
Right.
stuff
They,
to
they,
specs.
they had a very elaborate stage show, and they wanted to make sure everything would go off without a hitch. So it was there as kind of like a safety net to make sure that it was
So
a good venue.
I'm wondering if Ashley Simpson, anywhere she would go, any venue, she would give you a list of very specific Nintendo 64 games.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have that list exact, she would knew that the rest of
this place is bullshit.
It's like,
and she would toss-
I asked for Mission Impossible, the video game, not Perfect Dark. What is this?
I will say that wasn't something I had to do a lot. Like usually, if I had to go and get something for somebody, it was food or something. It wasn't,
Right.
It wasn't usually crazy, outlandish stuff.
What's your favorite story or memory to tell from when you were working at SNL?
The best thing was Tom Hanks. He's a friend of
Hollywood's
Lauren's.
darling. Tom Hanks.
I always figured he was a huge asshole.
No.
Based on his awful
I actually did.
personality.
I
of
actually
course.
thought he might be an asshole because I
No,
remember
he's
he was
just-
on a Jiminy Glick thing and he kind of seemed full of himself. But I guess it was an act.
Oh.
But no,
Yeah.
in real life, he's extremely nice. He came a couple times and actually remembered my name. And
Wow, that's awesome.
No, with when he came during a Christmas episode, I had to escort him and his family, and it was really weird because he had his like arm around me and stuff, and
Yeah.
all the people in
Interesting.
line, were like, "Oh my god, it's Tom Hanks!" And
He's with some guy.
but the Muppets were on that episode,
Uh-huh.
and we walked by the green room where the puppeteers were actually had the Muppets, and Tom Hanks is like, "Oh well, let's get a picture with the Muppets. Nick, come on in the picture." And I was like, "Wow,
That's
what?
amazing.
Where the hell am I?"
So wait,
It
you
just
have a photo of yourself and Tom Hanks with Muppets?
I
I was
Who
I
would've-
was
how
so
did you get
in
the
I
photo?
was so in my own head at the time that I thought I would get in trouble if I did it. So I told
you
him,
stayed out of it?
Yeah, I was told this another thing about the TV industry is they tell interns don't talk to the famous people because you're beneath them. Don't bother them. And so I was like a trained dog, so I was extremely curt and meek. And so I was like, no, I can't do that.
That sucks.
But you would think if Tom Hanks invites you into a photo, you should listen to what Mr. Hanks wants to do.
yeah, that's what he.
Yeah.
If, Mr. Hanks asked.
like. It's
My-
it's one thing if they
you
want
shoot-
if they want to be away
you
from you,
just jump in the picture.
and he's like, "No, get out of here."
Colin Hanks is having a christening for his son, and you just show up. And you're just sitting in the front row. I'm with the family.
You're just like, "What's up, TH?"
I'm Nick Hanks.
Yeah. No, I was an intern with John McCain's daughter. We both had the same job, Megan McCain.
Yeah.
And our boss, it was technically Lauren, but we never talked to Lauren. We weren't allowed to talk to Lauren. He would just come by and tell one of his other assistants to tell us what to do.
I'm shocked that he doesn't run the intern
But
program for the
there
show.
are these blonde women. They call them the Lornettes in that Live from New York book. But one of them, her name is Katie Hockmeyer. I don't know what her name is now, but she's now the producer of the Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show. But she was the one that explicitly told me, like, don't talk to the guests.
Wow.
You're not allowed to talk to the guests.
You're a smart guy and you're a nice guy. I could see you get some a-hole intern who could make things very awkward with a celebrity. Like you get a
Right.
certain type of personality, and they would just like shoehorn them into like.
No, I get it, but it was you're there. They're not paying you, mind you. You're doing this for the experience of it, and I guess I was so afraid to even
Wait, so you
get
wor-
my foot in the door. Like
You
I was-
worked there for a year and you didn't get paid? It was just an unpaid internship?
No, I got college credit.
If Nick wasn't so introverted, he probably could have turned it into Nick's a great writer and a great filmmaker. He probably could have turned it into a sweet gig, but
That's right.
He
I'm
was
very
too
talented. Everybody.
He was too meek. He was too meek
Hire
to even
me.
get into a photo, let alone ask for money.
That's true. All right.
I mean, you worked closely with Jim Downey, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh no. Like some people did segue this into work. Aubrey Plaza was there at the same time. She managed to do something with her career. I didn't.
Actually, Nick was like, Jack, Aubrey, we went to school with Aubrey. He was like, Aubrey's going to take some classes at UCB. We should take him with her. I was like, those don't get you anywhere.
Yeah, me and Jack were in a sketch writing course at this same exact time where we both shat all over the things that Aubrey Plaza was doing.
How'd that work out for you guys?
Worked out well for her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is fascinating. I did not know any of this. So you were there for a year. What season was that? Was that like who was on the cast? Did you interact with a lot of cast members?
Sometimes. Most of them were not very sociable, but some of them were.
Well, I got to imagine, like, I've never worked for SNL, but I have read a lot of like the Live from New York book and other SNL related things. It seems like it is a grueling job that is just like
that's bullshit.
Really,
have the easiest job of all. They're writing silly sketches. Come on, it's not that hard.
Okay.
Well, you confirmed at the same time you were working there. I was living in Soho, in downtown Manhattan, and Chris Parnell, who was still on the show at the time.
Yeah, he was on there.
He
was the one I was most to be around.
Yeah, because he's just a great comedian.
I just love him as a straight man, and I like underplayed.
No, he was underrated. He's very talented.
Yeah.
One of the best at that
He's
cast.
he's the
Great
reason
on
the
Archer.
cowbell sketch works.
Anyway, what I was gonna say is
That means a lot.
He must have lived in the same neighborhood as me because several times
I was in his apartment.
I
once.
would go to Dwayne.
did he know you were there?
Yeah, this was after the internship.
Oh, I see.
Several times I would go to the Duane Reade that was nearby, the pharmacy, to do my shopping, and I would always catch him there. He was always in line, and he always just looked so miserable.
He was very
and
downtrodden.
unhappy. Yeah, yeah.
And I think it was. I mean, I don't know the guy very well, but he did seem underappreciated. And I did hear him like kind of talking under his breath, like I've been here for 6 years, nobody knows who I am, kind of.
That's sad.
But that's actually. He wasn't the only one like that. Daryl Hammond was.
Well, Daryl Hammond was like talked about
nth
cutting.
degree.
He's written a biography.
Daryl Hammond went to some dark places.
However,
he's got a book about it.
These downtrodden guys were actually one of the nicer people. They said thank you when I brought them stuff.
That's nice.
Tina Fey wasn't. She wasn't a bitch, but she wasn't appreciative of me getting her stuff.
I mean, I guess if you're working hard, and she was the head writer.
No, Tina Fey would sit and gossip with the female producers, and
I'm a really nice guy, and I try to be overly polite. I think the normal level of polite, but overly compared to other people because we're not a very polite society. And I try to always say thank you. I think I would probably be if I was a big movie star, I would be polite, but I could also see myself being so busy or wrapped up in whatever I'm doing where I wouldn't say thank you to the intern.
I mean, I'm blowing it out of proportion. She was not mean. She was not. She just was like to the degree that Chris Parnell once like actually waited with me after a show because an elevator wasn't working and I had all this stuff to take upstairs. Not his job at all. My job. I mean, he waited for like 30 minutes with me just to help me carry stuff up the stairs.
That's awesome.
This is a guy on a network TV show.
Yeah, this is on SNL, a featured cast member.
And to be honest, I'd say his post SNL career is not too shabby compared to a lot of.
Well, I mean, he's on
regulars.
Archer, and Archer's a phenomenally popular show. He's great on it.
Yeah, he's had bit parts elsewhere. He does voice acting. I think compared to most, or I'd say he's in the top like 25, 35 percentile.
I like what you did there.
Of careers. Think about how many people have been on the show, and you probably wouldn't notice him.
I think it's safe to say he's had a very Phil Hartman career. But, he's done a lot of great voiceover work, and he's generally the straight man in all the old SNL sketches.
He starred in one movie. Evil Alien Conquerors.
That was a mixed movie. It had its moments.
When I guess it was after high school.
It was 2003 it came out.
We were very obsessed with that movie for a brief time.
It was a movie, I think it was direct to video. It's called Evil Alien Conquerors, starring Chris Parnell and Diedrich Bader from The Drew Carey Show as two dumb aliens.
And Tyler Labine, who's doing very well for himself now.
Yes,
at the time.
He was on Reaper.
Funny,
he was
fat, hairy guy.
What's he on now? Deadbeat, I think, is the Hulu show that he has now.
Yeah.
He was the bad guy, I guess.
I don't know.
It was a good movie.
But as far as cast members go, Fred Armisen, Will Forte, actually Keenan was very nice.
Keenan's still on the show. He's
absolutely.
He's shattered. I guess Daryl Hammond had the last record.
Right, yeah.
It was Kevin Nealon and Tim
Good for
Meadows
Keenan,
before.
I say.
Jason Sudeikis was there, but he was not on the cast yet. He was just a writer, and he was extremely nice. This was 2004 2005. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
But I don't want to hog the show up.
No,
this is interesting stuff. Yeah.
I'm jealous. I wish I was smart enough to get an internship, especially an internship like that, when I went to film school with you.
But if you want to know what I did most of the week, I did just go in the morning, go through about 7 or 8 newspapers, and find references to Lorne. That was my job.
Really?
Yes. And then I had to
hide them from him or show him. Like if it was good, you'd show him.
And
if
the funny thing was, I think we were already in a time when this could be done with a computer or on the internet.
Google alerts.
And because I missed sometimes because I wasn't actually doing it. I was like, this is stupid. I'm not going to go through 5 million newspapers. I would skim it and sometimes I would see it, but.
Right.
But then I had to set up his desk. He had to have like 2 rolls of breath savers on his desk. He had to have.
What was his pin number?
He had to have Fiji water because Jack Nicholson introduced him to Fiji recently, and I had to pop.
That's why I drink Fiji.
I had to
me
pop
too.
popcorn for him in this movie theater style popcorn maker. Outside
Did you
his
have to
office.
wear a little
he's
bellhop's
famous for that,
outfit?
isn't
Please
he?
tell
He
me you
loves eating
did.
his popcorn, snacking on his popcorn. Isn't that like a thing?
I had to put like little paper towels in a picnic basket. And have like
was he Yogi Bear?
He ate the popcorn. I forgot about a lot of this. This is funny.
We're bringing back some
all
harsh
the memories
memories.
flooding back. No, he would sort of pop out like a little critter and just kind of look around like a. No, he sat in his office by himself, or like with one guest, or by himself. I'm not.
I'd love to imagine
I am
Lorne
also-
Michaels in his office just eating popcorn
yeah.
completely alone.
In his defense, I guess he just didn't want to be bothered. But he was not. He never learned my name. I was there for a fucking year.
Yeah.
Again,
So-
you're an intern.
I mean,
But I was
yeah.
okay. I was an intern 15 feet away from him.
yeah.
Right.
Now, how hard would it have been to say, "Oh, what's your name?"
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm saying
Yeah.
society should be better at that kind of stuff, and he should have known your name. But given the standards and conventions we have now, not surprised.
No.
And
I would go to his
whatever.
apartment and get stuff from him, from his hands,
But he just how many people does
Okay,
he
that's
meet?
kinda
And how
weird.
many people? You're one in an army of people
and
that
deliver
serve him.
things.
He has
to
an army
him.
of yous.
Yeah.
He just calls you by number.
No, that year he had 3 of me. He had
All right.
me, Megan, and
So
somebody
I have a
else.
question for you. Then you were at the same time as me. You're getting a BFA in film and television at NYU. Did that year internship? Did you learn something? Did it help you with your degree besides getting college credit? Was it worth it?
I mean, I got exposed to what it's like to be on a TV show.
But now it's 12 years later. Was that information useful, practical?
I guess in one sense, it became. I don't know. I'm not as daunted about succeeding anymore because I know that it's just
Because you hit 30 and you didn't yet.
No, it's
so we just had to come to terms.
No,
It's like, well, that's the end of me.
Before I had that internship, I thought it was just this impossible Herculean task that only the fittest,
The elites.
strongest. But no, I was like, I see how it works.
Look at these assholes.
These people have these jobs. I'm smarter than this fucking guy. It's like the writers were. Some of them were really cool, and some of them were just d-bags. Like you said, Jim Downey was there, and he was
seems like a really cool
he was
guy.
a writer that since I was a little kid, I recognized.
By the way, Jim Downey, if you don't know, he's been a writer for a very long time. He's Robert Downey Jr.'s uncle. He's a big.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's Robert Downey Sr.'s brother.
been on the show since the 70s.
Yeah, he's been a huge force in the creative force in the show, and you would also recognize him. He's in a lot of sketches from the '90s. He's also the principal in Billy Madison, who does the
Mr.
No,
Madison.
he's not the principal.
Oh, he's
He's
not the principal?
he's the guy that does
He's
he reads the
'cause
game show.
The principal is
the
the big
principal
guy.
is
Yeah.
Zero Mostel's
He's like-
son.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
It's like,
Josh
Mr.
Josh,
Madison,
yeah.
what you just said
Yeah,
was
right,
the
right.
most
He's-
nonsensical. Like,
Exactly.
I worked
And
you
he-
no points and God have mercy.
And
on
that's
your
how
soul.
he is in real life, isn't it? That demeanor of his.
He tells everyone, God have mercy on your soul.
He's not like that. I mean,
No?
he's much more like
Normal?
that's a incredibly monotone, intentionally.
So he's not monotone.
That's for comedic
because he's
effect.
monotone in a lot of his sketches too.
No,
he plays the guy who does the bank commercial.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. That's my favorite
It was,
sketch that he was in.
Grayson Moorhead, and
Yeah.
we sat and watched.
We're gonna
that.
put it on a list and put it in a vault.
I quoted that to him actually,
Yeah.
and he brought me in so we could watch it together in his office. It was
That's awesome.
He's probably forgotten all about this. This was like 10 years ago, but
Yeah.
no, I would. There was towards the end of my internship, me and him would chit chat with each other during the show. 'cause
That's really cool.
We would watch it in Lauren's, not in his office, but right outside. He has this other room where guests go.
Uh-huh.
And I remember me, him, and even at one point Robert Smigel. We all kind of would just giggle like dorks at sketches. And
So it wasn't all
So-
all miserable. There was an aspect of
Wait,
like
well, no,
watching great comedy with these legends.
This was like the high point of my entire life. Was two guys that I recognized for. I knew Robert Smigel and I knew Jim Downey.
Yeah.
We were joking together like we are right now.
That's amazing.
I mean,
and so I was like, oh, if these guys are just
Because
they're
we're just two
regular
schmucks.
guys.
We're just nobodies.
I mean,
Like-
this is part of my personality, and I'm definitely more of a downbeat. I kick myself for every little mistake I've ever made. But like, if I was in that situation, I'd be so disappointed that I didn't turn it into a writing job.
Oh,
there.
I'm very disappointed in myself.
So this episode's just going to be about failure. Is that what we're
I
going?
was in, okay. Just to name drop, I was in elevators with the following people: Donald Trump. I was in an
Future
elevator.
president Donald Trump.
yeah.
Rob Reiner, Alec Baldwin, Steven Spielberg.
Wow.
I was in. I was in the same room with Paul Thomas
It's-
Anderson
it's
for like
hu-
hours.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
it's hard to be in that vicinity, but still be. It's like so close, but yet so
in
far.
the mindset though that I'm not allowed to talk to them.
Exactly.
And
Right,
if I say anything, I'll ruin any chance
Well,
I have. I thought at
You're
the end,
in the
if I-
room, but you're not really in the
I
room.
thought I was always thinking like if I did everything just right, they would give me a desk job somewhere, and I could segue that into a writing job because people had done it before. There was a girl intern there that did become a writer named Marika Sawyer.
Yeah, I took a documentary class with her. Yeah.
She's not funny, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
She's one of the main Weekend Update
Well, but
writers.
a lot of
Or
people
was.
in comedy aren't funny themselves, but can write funny things.
I don't know
right?
what
No?
she wrote, but we were standing together for quite a long time.
But
hours
I feel like a big
on
part
end,
of
and never made me laugh.
A big part of turning that into work isn't the work you're doing; it's schmoozing and networking, and you're kind of above that kind of stuff. You're the least phoniest person I think I've ever met.
Me?
Yeah, you. I mean,
Thank you.
I mean, I know.
That- no, that's a-
I mean,
that's
I
a
know you
compliment.
hide your horrible fetishes and murders and stuff.
I mean, I call prostitutes. I don't have sex with them because I can't afford them, but that's the only reason I don't have sex with them.
But see, that's
We're
what I'm saying.
learning a lot about
but that's
Nick
what I'm
today.
saying is Nick is the least phoniest
If
person
I
I've
could
ever met.
afford it.
He has
Yeah,
no
you're-
filter. He is just like, this is who I am. Accept it.
Right.
So I feel like you're above schmoozing, and like you've seen me do it, and it's horrible to like have to like this kissing ass involved and stuff like that.
Me and Jack once had dinner with John McCain, by the way. And I think I saw you trying to say political things to him. I was what the fuck
alright,
is he
so
doing?
I
What are you angling for a cabinet
No,
position?
all right. So I actually sat directly next to John McCain.
I was avoiding John McCain the whole
Yeah,
night
so
because I think he's fucking weird.
Well, all right. Let's tell the story.
Okay.
So Nick said he was
What do we
friends.
got?
Nick's friends with Meghan McCain,
Right.
The daughter, and it was her 21st birthday, and there was a huge gala. And that night,
This is before he ran for president in 08.
yeah, it was.
He
it
was a
before
senator at this point,
yeah,
right?
And he still is. Yeah,
But he was
right.
then too.
He was obviously the front runner. He was the front runner, but he still hadn't announced. He's like, I'm thinking about it. Anyway,
Nick,
Nick.
2006.
Yeah, so Nick calls me up and he's just like, "Hey, buddy, I'm going to my friend Megan's birthday party. I got a +1. You want to go?" I was like, I don't know. It was up by Central Park. It takes a fucking bulldozer to get me out of the house. And it was raining, I remember. And he's like, it's gonna be a really expensive, like, nice meal. You might as well come. I was like, okay. So I like hustle. He's like, you got to come right now. So I had to like get dressed. I had to get dressed nice because it was a nice place. It was pouring rain. I had I think I ended up taking a cab up there. It was on like.
I remember
60th
you were
Street.
wearing like a t-shirt and sneakers and ugly jeans.
I had a
Nice.
blazer over it.
Good man.
I don't remember the blazer.
Oh, I had a
but
nice blazer.
What do you want to be? The secretary of goofing off in the
And-
Kane
and-
secretary
administration?
of partying down.
So anyway, we get there.
bra bomb better work,
So we
Nerdlinger.
get there, and Megan's like, "Oh, Nick's so nice to see you." And he's like, "This is my friend Jack." And she goes, "Oh, I didn't know you were bringing anybody." He was like, "There's no more room at my table, so you'll have to sit next to my parents." And we were just like, "Oh,
my
okay."
God.
So it was me, Nick, Cindy, and John McCain, and then her favorite college professor and his husband.
Okay.
And it was like the 6 of us on the end of the table. Anyway,
they were way more interesting than John McCain was.
They were
but-
way more interesting than us. So, anyway, so I was very nervous. So and the other thing was the $1,000 meal was seafood, and I don't eat seafood. I've never.
was disgusting. I hated everything we
terrible.
ate,
Yeah,
by the way.
So
Interesting.
and he turns to me, and I'm like, all right, I can't be rude. He's paying a lot of money for this. I'm gonna eat it. So I eat this slimy like scallop, and I was like, let me just swallow it whole so I don't taste it. And
like a pelican.
Yeah, like some kind of snake.
so I swallow it with a huge gulp of wine, and I've been drinking wine. I'm trying to like mellow myself out,
Of
and that's
course.
when he turns and goes, "So, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Bleh," I choke. Anyway, I get wasted on the wine.
I
And
didn't know that.
Yeah, so he turns to me, and he's just so we're talking, and this is where I got political. It was like right after Katrina, and I was just like, why don't we just we can't make people buy hybrid cars. I get that we should, but I get that that's fascist. But why don't we make all the government vehicles hybrids? Make the cop cars, the ambulances. Then you save the environment. And that's something you can do. You can make the hospitals and police do it. And he's like, yeah, that's a great idea.
and then
Funny that
he
your car
resumed.
obsession was even present there.
He
I actually talked about self-driving cars.
Do you
That wouldn't
remember-
surprise me.
Do you remember that he was eating an ostrich egg?
Oh, yeah. We all
He
got...
was
with like a
we
solid
got,
gold
we got, We
spoon?
got tiny eggs.
Yeah, we got these like
And
goose
he
eggs
got
with
this
caviar in
giant
it,
king
and he
size-
got a giant ostrich egg.
something that
This sounds fanciful.
He would have it in his palace. Bring me an ostrich egg.
That's amazing.
Another remarkable thing from that night. Very soon after, I guess like a year after, when McCain was in the news for running for president,
Yeah.
Cindy McCain, his wife, got a huge reputation, or everybody gets reduced to one note. Her one note was that she was like a robot. She's very plastic. She was a
She's
sweetheart.
extremely
And you
nice.
saw her
She-
exoskeleton at this dinner.
No, she was the exact opposite. She was very personable. She was friendly. She was so nice. I talked to her more than I talked to him because he was schmoozing
Right.
the whole night.
I'm sure.
He made the exact same joke 6 times, and then he made it throughout the rest of his campaign, where he was like, I might be running for president. I might not be, but I'll tell you this, the North Koreans better be worried.
I'll be on record right now as somebody that's met John McCain that will say he is a piece of shit. shit. No.
Megan might be listening.
I'll tell her that her dad's. I've told her that.
Again, Nick is the least phoniest person in the world, and he has told her that.
I mean, I'm personally not extremely happy with Megan right now, just because she's a fucking like pigeon for Fox News or whatever.
Right, she's making money.
She's just in the spotlight because it's an easy job and she's making money.
Here's the difference.
She doesn't know anything about politics.
Here's the difference between
Listen
me
to
and
her
you.
talk. She don't know what she's
By the way,
saying.
we will get back to In Living Color.
Yeah,
Continue.
we will. Here's the difference between me and you. If I got offered a spot on Fox News because my dad, I would take it in a heartbeat and I would sell out at least long enough to pay all my bills, get all my loans.
She doesn't need that.
I know.
She can make money doing anything.
But she could build enough power, entertainment power, capital, I guess, to eventually do whatever she wants if she sells out. Anyway, the difference between you and me is I would do that. You would never do that. Again, because
I'll say Megan is a very nice person. I like Megan. I like hanging out with her.
She was very friendly to me.
She's really funny. She likes talking about Seinfeld. That's the only redeeming quality about John McCain is that he likes Seinfeld.
That's how I measure every man I meet. Do you like Seinfeld? Yes.
No. John McCain. I mean, you guys saw this thing. It was like a year or two ago where Henry Kissinger, war criminal, goes to speak before Congress, and there's people protesting in there, which is annoying. I mean, they weren't letting him talk. The police escort. Or the guards escort the protesters out so that he can testify. But then John McCain just goes, "Get out of here, you low-life scum."
He said that to Kissinger?
No, he says that to the protesters.
I was going to say, I wouldn't.
People using their First Amendment rights, the right to a peaceable assembly.
He called them scum.
It's on video, like you can watch it. He calls them low life scum, and this was a man who's going to lead the free world. I mean, he's basically saying something that a Russian dictator would say, like get out of here for expressing your opinions against a guy with very questionable record as Secretary of State. This guy, the guy that played geopolitics and bombed Cambodia and all this other stuff. Like, yeah, and he's on his side.
People have a right to voice their opinions.
He's on Kissinger's side.
And you're right that they have the voice to express their opinion in playing devil's advocate, playing McCain's advocate.
No, that's my favorite pinball game.
The judgment
is it's a tradition. There's a traditional kind of view of like, all right, he's old and respected now. He should, it's above mudslinging. What's the point? And like maybe I feel like that's more his stance.
McCain
on that.
is above
mudslinging.
No,
why is he calling
McCain
him
was defending Kissinger.
I see.
Low life scum. Like I've never heard an American politician.
That sounds like something like a villain in like a comic book would say. The low life scum.
And maybe in 2006, I think the rhetoric has gotten
John
much
McCain
worse
say
now.
that about anybody. And he used it about protesters against Kissinger. And he loses all... I mean, I thought he lost all credibility with Sarah Palin, but this was like, okay, well, he's not even a nice guy.
I forgot that
he's not even a nice guy
running mate.
if he says this. And this is a guy who was in a prisoner of war camp in a war engineered partially by the guy...
By Kissinger,
That's a fair point.
I'm like, he's just... not fit to be president, and I'm glad he got his ass handed to him. So.
One last thing about that dinner with John McCain.
Yeah.
The McCain family. We actually got in a limo bus with all of the McCains. Jack McCain was in uniform.
What kind of absurd life are you two living?
This was all Nick. I just got to experience it for one night, and it was incredible.
I will say I'm a loser, except for my connections to
notable political politicians.
I'm really famous people's loser friend.
Here's one of my favorite Nick Noga moments. Again,
what does that make Jack and I?
You're the loser. You're the friends of the loser friend.
All right, I'll take it.
Here's one of my favorite Nick Noga moments. Again, how he's just like, he throws away any idea of like, why should I pretend to do something? Like why shouldn't I just do what I'm going to do anyway? So we go to the hotel room with Megan and her friends, and it's like a suite, like a huge suite.
Yeah,
it's at the Plaza, I think. And
no,
she
it was
just like
Home Alone 2. It was somewhere on Central Park South.
Yeah. So anyway, she goes, guys, take anything from the mini bar, and like, she's, first of all, she's not paying for it. Her millionaire parents are. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, I felt rude. I didn't want to
like, finally, I'm getting that Toblerone.
So finally, I was, exactly. I was like, I took a Heineken out, which was probably from a mini bar, like $13, and
probably.
that I felt bad about. And she's like, order anything from Ruby's or what? I was like, no, that's okay. I'm starving because I
didn't eat the seafood,
horrible.
right?
Well, I ate it, but it was I swallowed it with a lot of wine. Anyway, I have a Heineken. I'm like, that's good for me. I'll take a $13 Heineken. Nick orders the biggest, sloppiest cheeseburger, like medium rare.
Oh yeah, I was drunk. Yeah. I remember. Yeah,
and it was, and like, so we're all just like sitting sitting on this massive.
John McCain can afford it. Yeah.
So we're sitting on this like massive bed, like hanging
She
out.
said get anything.
And she's just eating this gigantic, like $45 hamburger. And he's just like, she offered. And again, she doesn't give a shit. But
Right.
still, to me, like there's that weird social convention. Like, I don't want to go overboard.
Right,
But Nick's
right.
like, it doesn't matter. Who cares? And he's right. She didn't care.
I am not normally like that though. I don't normally run
Order
up
$45 hamburgers
yeah.
on somebody's tab.
I think I must have been drunk. I don't. No,
I'm
'cause-
sure the wine was flowing that night.
I don't like other people paying for my food.
Anyway, what I was
Wow.
going to say originally was the one thing I remember from that party was that was the first time I'd ever seen cake lollipops, and they were amazing.
Ah,
It was
cake pops.
And I ate so many of them because it was the one thing that wasn't fish,
Right.
or egg,
Yeah.
or like I ate caviar the other night. That was the one
It
time
was like
I've ever
it was
eaten
like
caviar.
a
Caviar is
15-course
gross.
meal where all the food was, tiny and ornate.
There was a
Yeah.
single scallop served in a man's hat. No,
Oh, delicious.
I just don't know why anybody wants to eat
There was
dinner like that.
it was a lobster
Well, 'cause
steak.
was it like a?
It was
Was it a
extremely
fundraiser
fancy.
or was it
No,
her birthday
it was
party?
It was her
Birthday.
21st
That's so
birthday
weird.
party.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah,
Weird.
it was just lots of gross seafood, and I swallowed it with lots of wine, and I got drunk. And then he asked me what I do, and I was like, "How?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm in a sketch group with Nick," and he talked
He
about
was a
SNL.
fan of your dad's song. I remember.
I don't remember that.
You said like, my dad had because John McCain would have been of.
Yeah, he's the right age.
Yeah,
Right.
he's the right age. He would have known.
Oh, I don't remember that at all.
Your dad's song was what? It was
Little
90
Star.
Little
But-
Star.
but what year
Vito
is this?
Pacone and the
It was the
Elegance.
number one song in 1958.
58. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. He could have just been nice. He's a politician. He's gonna say, "Oh, that's great. Yeah." I could have said I shot a kid in the street yesterday. He would be like, "Oh, good for you." Yeah.
that low life
Can I
scum.
say this one? I have one more anecdote with the McCain.
Please too.
Sure.
All right, this was years later. Megan had written a book with Michael Ian Black. I forget what it was
Oh
called.
yeah.
So Michael Ian
Right.
Black, by the way, is a comedian.
He was in The State,
He was
Stella.
part of The State.
Another
He's
90s
Wet Hot
sketch
American
group
Summer.
that's not
Yeah.
SNL.
I met him a couple times before this event that I'm about to tell you about. I was disappointed about him, but anyway, he's not part of the story.
Okay.
They had a book release at some bar. John and Cindy McCain were there.
Yeah.
I was actually there more to meet Michael Ian Black's sketch partners,
Right.
Michael Showalter, David Wayne. I'm huge
Yeah.
fans of them.
Yeah. Oh, I love Stella.
They weren't there. I was kind of
Oh,
let
that's a
down.
bummer.
A couple washed up SNL people were there though.
Okay.
Like on camera talent or
Yeah. Abby Elliott, who is Chris Elliott's daughter.
Right.
She was an SNL.
She was on
cast
SNL
member.
for like 3 or 4
she's
years.
also on something now. She's doing.
Okay.
Yeah,
she's
she's
on the show.
she's around.
I spot her. I try and get Megan to introduce me. She does. We wind up, talking in a circle. I'm doing really well with her, by the way. And when I say well, I mean my dick is gonna be somewhere in her somewhere, and she knows.
This is a very different
And-
episode of this show.
That's you got Nick Noga. on.
Okay. Now
Continue.
Now I'm doing well. I'm Michael Ian Black is in the same circle, and he's doing terrible.
Is he trying to bang Abby Elliott?
Probably.
Are you guys competing for her?
Now Michael Ian Black is a married man.
She likes
Yeah.
older men. She was with.
She was
what's
with Fred Armisen.
Fred Armisen.
Yeah, she stole him from Mad Men.
Mad Men.
From,
Peggy Olson.
yeah.
Now, anyway, I'm doing really
Allegedly.
well, and this is not
Alleged-
a joke.
all of this is alleged.
I have my friend Will. I'll give him a shout out. He was there. He can attest that I was doing quite well.
He saw your boner.
Yeah. We're joking around.
We've all seen his boner.
I was at my A. I'm so impressed with how well I was doing. She at one point says, "You know what? Let's go like not just her and me, but like the group. Let's go somewhere else," which is always a good sign.
Yeah,
that means
definitely.
So now she's comfortable enough with me after like an
You're
hour.
in the inner circle now.
Now it wasn't starstruck. I don't think she's funny. She was a terrible casting choice. But
I actually did like her a lot on
but I
SNL.
thought, I thought she
Continue.
was, I thought she was
Giving it anything to
hot, and plus I wanted to meet Chris Elliott at some point. So
Right.
get her knocked up and see.
And so Chris Elliott,
wait,
so
wait.
Chris
This is
Elliott would
the
be the
dream.
grandfather to your
Yes,
children.
wait
That's
a
minute.
that's actually kind of
Okay.
That's
Anyway,
insane.
but I'm getting.
That's a crazy person's dream.
I'm getting
But
sidetracked.
continue.
Anyway,
I would
so
love for Chris Elliott to be my kid's
So
grandfather.
I've never had sex with a really famous person, or even a kind of famous person, and I was
Okay.
like, this could be
Well-
this could be the beginning of me having sex with famous people.
Didn't you have sex with one of Tiger Woods' mistresses? Don't say her name.
Jocelyn James? I actually had sex with Charlie Sheen's girlfriend.
The one that has AIDS?
Yes, the one that has AIDS.
What? Did you get tested?
No. Do you remember? It was me and Jack. We've had such a when I was
Don't drag me into this.
When we were in Vegas. Remember that girl I met?
Oh,
Right.
Jesus.
Me and Nick worked briefly for
pornography.
No, we didn't work in pornography.
You mentioned this in an earlier episode of one of our shows.
We worked for Lexington Steele, a porn star who wanted to do a straight talk show for like Spike TV or something.
When you say straight talk show, you mean a traditional
like
talk
a
show.
non-porn
talk
show.
Like a non-gay.
No, like a late night talk show. And we were his head writers. And we went to the Adult Video Awards to film some bits there.
In Vegas.
Right.
And we had a hotel room in Vegas and we hung out with porn
And so
stars all night.
we got to go to all the backstage events, the things only porn stars could get into. And I met Ron Jeremy. I got to go to a party. I had sex with one porn star, and then I was almost got to have sex with Tiger Woods' mistress, and then Charlie Sheen's girlfriend. All this was like 2 days I spent in Vegas. Imagine.
I remember. So he comes in.
God.
I was there to gamble. I did not want. I mean, I wanted to have sex with porn stars, but I didn't want all of the diseases after, so I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So real quick, I just go to the. I go home early.
I was having sex in the bathroom. And
Yeah, this is what I'm gonna say.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
So we're sharing a room. We had a suite with the other crew. Me and Nick are sharing a room. So he comes in, and I gambled till like 4 a.m., but he came in much later. So this is still. I was home early, even though it was 4 a.m.
Right.
And I was watching TV, and I was trying. No, I was trying to sleep, and I wasn't asleep yet. Nick came in probably actually 5 minutes after me.
With the porn star.
With the porn star. So they start fucking in the other bed. So I turn the TV on really
and they were
loud
like-
as like a clue. So he's like, so I just hear, oh, I think Jack's awake. We should go in the bathroom. So anyway, he goes to the bathroom. The next morning, I go into the bathroom and I just see 2 handprints on the mirror. And I'm just like, oh, my toothbrush.
I would have thrown that toothbrush out, sir.
Okay.
I didn't know that Charlie Sheen AIDS all over it.
No, this wasn't the Charlie Sheen girl.
Okay.
This is a different
This was
one.
the teenager.
Anyway, what? Wait.
She's 19.
Are we going to have to bleep a lot of this episode?
Okay, so back to the book release party
back
with
to John
Abby
McCain.
Elliott.
Back to
Okay, so
John
Abby
McCain.
Elliott, I'm doing really well with Abby Elliott.
By the way, we will get back to Eleven
Michael
O'Clock.
Ian Black is just not funny. I don't think he's a funny guy. I think he's a shitty
Really?
person.
I love Michael Ian Black.
He's not funny. He sucks.
Okay.
And I'll say
He's hit and
this.
miss for me. I think he can be very funny.
Michael Showalter, very funny.
I am a huge fan of all of these gentlemen.
David Wayne, hugely
but continue.
funny. Michael Showalter, the least, Michael Ian Black, the least talented of all of them. Anyway, so we're in that circle. Abby Elliott's really digging me. She says, "Let's go. Let's take this somewhere else. Let's go." And her and her friend and me and maybe my other friend. It was going to be like that. And we were like, "Yeah, we'll take a cab." And we're going to figure out where to go. I say, "Okay, let me say bye to Megan." And I was like, it'll take like 1 second.
No.
Okay. So I go say bye to Megan. She's fine. She's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with Abby. She's like, I get it. Yeah.
Your dream of Chris Elliott's grandson is evaporating.
I go over to fucking creepy-eyed John McCain and I say, see ya.
He said, so long, scumbag.
By the way, looking at John McCain is like looking at a fucking corpse. It's like when you look at when you go to a funeral and
Maybe this will be the new podcast.
you
You
just
just
look-
have Nick every week.
you look at like
He's telling all his best
imagine
stories.
the corpse.
This is it.
Like it's like if a corpse could follow you with its eyes.
Okay.
Like that's what it's like. And he shakes your hand really. Like I'm gonna kill you. All right. I've met him like 6 or 7 times, and it's always the same.
It's always, I'm going to kill you.
All right. Okay.
maybe he just doesn't like you.
You may not be allowed to meet him anymore
Anyway,
after
so
this.
that was like 1 second long. I'm happy to wipe his old man stink off my hand. All right. Anyway, so then I go over to Cindy McCain, who's there, who I hadn't really talked to the whole night. And I
Again,
say,
she's a very lovely lady.
Right, this is the wife,
She
yeah.
remembers me every time I see her. She says, "Oh, Nick." She calls me by name, and so I say, "Nice. Sorry, I couldn't talk more." And I made the stupid mistake of saying, "Oh, how long are you in town for?"
Oh, no.
And she's like, "Well, I'm here for a few more days. I have to address the UN. I'm making a case about Joseph Kony in Africa with all the child slaves.
And you have to ask
wow.
a follow-up question. You can't just go, I'm going to speak at the end.
Hey, that's
Okay,
great. Bye.
I know, and so I'm like, oh my god, that's so. By the way, Joseph Kony, if anybody remembers, was like late 2012, 2013.
Yeah, that Kony 2012 thing.
It was this horrible warlord in Africa who's abducting children for a child army and making them kill their own parents and all this horrible human rights stuff. And here's Cindy McCain, the humanitarian, about to address the problem, like the most important thing I've ever heard anyone say that they're about to do.
Yeah.
And I'm just
You're
like,
still trying- you're still trying to get Chris Elliott to be your kid's grandpa.
like say goodbye.
You're just trying to close the deal.
And of course, I have to say, oh yeah, that's so admirable. Wow, it's terrible what's going on. She's like, yeah, let me tell you more about what I'm doing. And I'm like, I can't just weasel out of this conversation. This
Right.
is like, and meanwhile, like 10 minutes have passed by at this point. I'm looking over. Abby Elliott's like checking her watch. They're not going to wait around too long for me.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't really know me. And
You should have
like,
said, "Look, I gotta go. They're waiting for me." There's
like
a cab.
my friend Will is like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, I can't just get away from
We've
this.
all been in this situation.
About 5 more. So all in all, it's like 15-minute goodbye. God. And I look over. Abby Elliott's gone. I was so bummed out.
That sucks.
That sucks.
I wanted my dick all up in there.
When you say that, it makes it less sad. I feel for you a little less. You're like, I just wanted to put my dick in there.
That dick never got in there.
I was gonna.
Maybe I'm just an idiot, but I'm like, maybe you two would have really hit it off, and
like,
you would have
got
like really
married.
fallen
And
in
here's
love.
the thing. Like, I bet
dick
I
didn't
would
get
have
in there.
felt
And then
so
that dick
good.
would get in there.
It would have felt so good.
Well, here's
Just
another-
imagine, because like Fred Armisen left his wife for her. Imagine how good it must feel. And she's like the daughter of a famous person whose mother was probably like a really good feeling vagina girl.
Good feeling vagina girl.
All right, the one last thing about
Chris Elliott.
him talking
vagina.
about having his friend there reminded me of and one of the other reasons besides like an intense fear of not getting like
By the way,
STDs.
we have not talked about the 90s at all.
We're gonna.
We'll get back to a living color,
Yeah,
but continue, Jack.
But I had, besides an intense fear of getting like an STD from with an adult actress, one of the other reasons it didn't happen is because me and Nick are hanging out with these girls, and they go, "You want to go to this secret party that was upstairs?"
Oh, that
in
was
the
great.
suite? Wait, hold on.
Secret party?
Yeah, and it's like it's gonna be really intense. And they go, okay. And it was me and Nick talking to these two girls. We're really hitting it off.
This is in Vegas,
Actually,
right?
it was three girls.
It was Joanna Angel of the Burning Angels alt tattooed porn site, and her boyfriend, date rapist James Dean. Who's
alleged
now-
date rapist.
All right, let me tell the story. So it's me and Nick talking to these three girls. I'm really hitting it off with this one other girl. She seems like a really nice,
I
sweet
remember
girl.
you were hitting it off.
Yeah. So then they go, "All right, we're gonna go to the secret party," and they're like, "Oh, there's one catch. They only allow one man per two women in, and there's three girls and two guys. So like, all right, we need another girl so we can get both of you guys in." And they're looking around, they
we
can't find
didn't,
anybody, and they were like, we can't get. Only one of you can come. So I was like. Nick was the one that started the conversation. He was talking to us. I was like, "All right, Nick, you go." So anyway, so me and the other guys in the crew, the next day we were like, "What happened at the
I
party?"
love this story,
Nick
by
would
the
not.
way.
Nick, to this day, Nick's never told me what happened up there. All I know
Okay.
is
I
freaky deaky.
never told you?
No.
You may not want to say it on a podcast.
No, it was great. I want to brag about it.
Anyway, I couldn't go.
Fucking Ron
because
Jeremy was in this party, just to tell you how fucking weird it was.
This is why I wouldn't play blackjack that night.
Right, until
No,
4 in the
we
morning.
went up into a room. I was in an elevator with Victoria Sin, the German porn star who I've masturbated to 1,000,000 times.
We're learning quite a lot
By
about
the way,
Nick today.
Nick was in heaven because obviously I've watched porn before, but I couldn't name a single adult star actress. I don't get the culture.
I know them
know.
all by name.
He was
I
like,
was
"Oh,
like,
that's
there's-
that." And I was just like amazed.
So you're like
Like,
starstruck at this
yeah,
party.
I was shocked that anybody would know their names.
Right.
But apparently,
a porn star's
I don't really. That's
I'm Jack Picone.
but there was.
I'm not low life scum.
But the adult film convention wasn't mostly people in the industry. It was mostly people who bought tickets off the street and were like starstruck.
No,
like
there-
Nick.
Okay.
I refute that. There were a lot of famous porn stars there.
No, I know.
Well, you
I'm
wouldn't
saying
know,
the people
Jack.
who bought the tickets. I'm saying I was surprised at how many regular Joes went to the convention.
Well, it's funny. It's like an industry show. It's just a flashy industry.
But it basically was like Comic-Con.
Right,
No, we-
exactly.
We should release the video with a 5-minute video.
I don't think we own it.
I don't give a frick. He's gonna sue me. Come on. What does he want? My socks? Yeah.
You guys can do that separately from We Studios.
Yeah, keep me out of it. Anyway, so
I mean, I cut it
I wasn't
together.
allowed in this party. What was in the party, Dick? And then we're going to talk about it in Living Color for the last 15
so I
minutes.
remember
Yeah, sure we are.
the three girls and myself went up. I think Joanna Angel peeled off with date rapist boyfriend. But anyway, so we go into this party, and I remember it was like a big, gigantic suite. One room was just people lounging around. That was like the middle. One room had like a big, huge bed that nobody was using, but in the bathroom was Ron Jeremy with his shirt off and like this really hot woman. They were just like chatting. And then in the room off to the side, the farthest room was a dark room with like, like a lot of people in it having sex in it.
Oh my God.
But it wasn't just like they were all naked. They were all like kind of still wearing clothes, but there were also some people having sex and some people not having sex. And I remember the girl I was with that I later took back to the hotel room. She was like getting all turned on and she was like touching me.
Yeah, I saw the handprints.
No, it was amazing. She started blowing me right there in the room. And girl I jacked off to, Victoria Sin, was like right there. They started making out.
So that
while I was getting a blowjob.
Is that kind of like
it's the greatest moment of my life. Next, that and Jim Downey. I don't know what's better, Jim Downey.
If only you could combine the two. Jim
really.
Downey blows
If
you in
Jim
the middle
Downey
of the
and
party.
Robert Smigel were there laughing with me,
they're like, "You got it, Nick."
While I was getting a double blowjob, was like the greatest thing of all time.
Oh, it's a double blowjob.
It was a very brief double blowjob, maybe
1.5?
less than a minute long.
1.5
Yeah.
blowjob.
Wow.
But it happened, I will never forget it.
On your deathbed, you're gonna
Yeah.
be like, double blowjob.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lopez was one of the fly girls in
She was. You're right.
Jim Carrey really got a good
Jim Carrey
career
got his
start,
start
yeah.
there.
No, so here's who we got: Kim, Sean, Marlon, Damon, and Keenan were the 5 Wayans that were on the show. Brother Dwayne apparently was an extra.
I feel like we can't even talk about Living Color at this point.
Jim Carrey was. This was before Jim Carrey was famous, but
Perfect segue.
he had been in movies.
I honestly think we should put In Living Color back into the topics.
We got plenty of time. So Jim Carrey was already in a few movies. He was in Once Bitten. He was in.
He was in a
Girls
show
Are
called The
Easy.
Duck Factory.
Yeah,
that
so,
was not very
but
good.
he was the breakout star of this show. This helped him get Ace
this
Ventura.
this
and The
show
Mask.
that was primarily created by black men to feature minority voices that weren't being featured on television is responsible for launching the whitest man ever.
But also Tommy Davidson, Jamie Foxx, David Allen Greer
Jamie
were on the
Foxx was
show.
there.
I'm trying to, who is the most famous non-Jim Carrey person from this?
Probably Jamie Foxx. He's an
Yes,
Oscar winner.
yeah.
David Foxx.
I forgot
Tommy
about that.
Davidson, David Allen
I
Greer.
mean, I
very
personally
popular.
would say Dag is one up
Yeah,
there.
Dag
David
still-
Allen
Dag
Greer.
does very well for
He's
himself.
on the Carmichael show. I don't know
Tommy
what
Davidson
that is.
was in Black Dynamite.
Yes, he was.
And from the Seinfeld episode with the soup Nazi, the schmoopy, she was on there.
Yeah,
also,
She was?
Elaine's friend that joins the army, Kelly Caulfield, was on In Living Color.
There you go. So the Fly Girls, which in between sketches, you'd have these girls do hip hop dancing.
Right.
Jennifer Lopez, Carrie Ann and Naba from Dancing with the Stars.
I don't know who that is.
She had her own spin-off, Dancing with the Stars. So I remember
Dancing with Carrie Ann and Noga.
they were on Rosie Perez. I didn't know this. She was the choreographer.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. That's crazy.
But I never watched the show. I watched it
Oh,
a
I
few
did. I
times. I,
loved it.
remember
It's
It's the
Fireman
robotic
Bill.
Rosie Perez. Critic reference, everybody.
Yeah.
Check it out. 90s.
It is the 90s. I loved In Living Color. I mean, it was a lot of the most famous sketches that I can remember now are Jim Carrey sketches. Like
I
Fire
remember-
Marshal Bill was a big one.
I remember David Allen Greer and Damon Wayans had the gay
Homie
film
the Clown
critics.
was
yeah,
a big-
the
Homie
they
Don't
did
Play
the
That.
D-Snap.
Remember
Homie
that?
the Clown was very
pretty
big.
big.
I don't remember him,
that
though.
became a short-lived catchphrase. Was Homie Don't Play That.
Homie Don't Play That.
Homie
yeah.
the Clown, I only remember
Where he
from
hits
I
you with
don't think so.
a
Retrospective.
stuffed up sock.
Homie
Yeah.
Don't Play That.
I don't remember him from my childhood.
I
only
never
remember
thought it was that funny
remembering
though.
him.
To be honest, the Homie Don't Play.
Men on Film. That was
There's definitely it was definitely for a black audience, and I wonder like had I
Well-
been raised black, would I think some of it was funnier than I did? Like maybe I would have gotten jokes like Homie the Clown. Was that funnier to people that grew up in the
I don't know.
the
I mean,
projects or
I
something?
was 6 or 7 or however old I was, but I loved that stuff. I was a huge sketch comedy fan as a
exactly,
kid,
yeah.
so it was just I watched this, I watched Kids in the Hall, I watched all of the shows that were on that were sketch comedy,
I think this was a little too early for me.
and I just kind of. I didn't even really, at the time, appreciate the kind of racial aspects to it. It was just, oh, this is another show on Fox.
Right,
I watch The
right.
Simpsons. I watch other shows on Fox. This is great.
This was the first sketch show I remember watching continuously and like sticking with it because it was on at an early time. Like Saturday Night Live, you had to stay at this time. This was before reruns. It was before Comedy Central. So now you can watch SNL on the internet. You could watch, or when we were in high school, you could watch reruns in the afternoon.
Right.
But unless you taped it or bought the best ofs, you had to watch it at
had to watch it live.
11:30 on a Saturday. And you're 5-6 years old. You're not staying up that late. And Living Color was on right after The Simpsons. And so you could watch it on a Sunday, like 8:30, 9 o'clock or something.
Yeah, I feel like I think it was Thursday. You had like Simpsons was on, then maybe something else, and then Living Color was on at 9.
Yeah, they moved.
They moved it
Was it a
around.
half hour?
It was.
or
It was
hour?
usually
a half hour.
It was usually
It was a
paired
short
with
show.
The Simpsons. It was usually
I do remember watching
Married
it
with
all
Children. It was part of their big.
It might
lineup.
have been Simpsons Married with Children in Living Color.
You glossed over this, but it is a huge deal what it was doing for race at the time because, I mean, even now, African American communities are completely underserved in entertainment. And this was 26 years ago. I mean, Cosby was the number one show in the time, but Cosby was not addressing a lot of things of black culture.
It wasn't a very racial show.
Because they went out of their way to show a lot of
you really have to give
ghetto sketches.
The Fox Network, you really have to give them credit for being really big risk
they could
takers.
take the risks at the time because they had nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
That was their draw, was that they would do things that other networks thought were too risque. I mean, The Simpsons, Married with Children, and this show were things that the networks would have never touched in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have put black people on a sketch show.
And
they never did. They still haven't.
Not even not even for other black people to watch, but for white people, they had a very there wasn't a lot of windows into that culture at the time.
That's what I was going to say.
The dawn of hip hop and rap,
but In Living Color wasn't like everybody watched In Living Color when I was a kid. Like everyone I knew
it had mainstream
watched
appeal.
it, and I was born and raised on Staten Island. It was not exactly the most diverse area.
I hate to break it to you, everybody was just watching for Jim Carrey.
Well,
no, that's not true. See, I'm joking, but in case you don't remember this time or weren't around,
he was huge though. He became bigger than this show.
He didn't get big until Ace Ventura though.
So
that was
right.
But he was
the movies. But the movies is what made him.
I think Damon
He
Wayans
was very popular on this show,
but not as popular. I don't think he was the breakout star. I think Damon
Wayans was because he had that Bruce Willis
say,
movie, The Last Boy Scout, which was before Jim Carrey took off, and he left the show.
Yeah.
I remember Damon Wayans left the show after the second season because he was the breakout.
He was the
but
Chevy
I think
Chase.
Damon Wayans was he was the Chevy Chase. He was the breakout from the first season,
Jim
and
Carrey
he kind
was
of
the Bill Murray.
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Chevy Chase
David
didn't really
Allen
land
Greer,
as well.
The cornball. He's Dan Aykroyd.
There you go. Who's Jim Belushi? Is it Jamie Foxx?
Jennifer Lopez is the Ashley Simpson.
She got a Nintendo 64.
Jamie Foxx is the Gilda Radner.
There you go. Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, I mean, if she didn't die, I think she'd have an Oscar by now.
Probably.
Who's Tommy Davidson?
Lorraine Newman.
Jim Carrey?
we're just mixing.
So Jim Carrey's
Garrett Morris.
Yeah, Jim Carrey's got to be the Garrett Morris.
There you go.
Jokes, everybody.
That's what we're here for.
We're white guys.
We're here for the inside scoop on John McCain and terrible racism.
People that are just listening to this don't know what our ethnicity is.
Yeah, they know.
I think they have an idea.
Three guys talking about the 90s on a podcast.
They have a good idea.
Any race.
Well, actually, I did
we
23andMe.
won't reveal what race you are.
And if you try and guess what race I am, that makes you a racist.
No, I did 23andMe last summer. You know that popular
Fuck you, world.
the popular genome testing thing where you
23andMe.
You give them the DNA and they'll tell you exactly what your genome is and what your ethnicity. So basically, I paid $100 to find out that Jack Anthony Picone is Italian.
There you go.
No, it was interesting. I found out I was like 0.1% Siberian Eskimo, like Yakut.
Really?
Oh, I see it.
Yeah,
Wow.
I have some Middle Eastern and some North African descent, which is probably from Sicilian heritage.
Italy was ruled by the Moors.
But I also had
Sicily.
It's also
sure.
it's not just that, but it also I had like more Iberian and Greek in me than I thought. Even
Oh,
though
really?
I am only Italian, I only have Italian up until a certain point, great grandparents. But it makes sense that they would have Iberian and Greek and Mediterranean blood in them.
Right.
So it was interesting, but there were no big shockers. I did have a fifth cousin from Germany message me. You can message people that share DNA with you and try to get in touch with them.
Really? But what are you going to say beyond like, hey, we're related?
That was it. And then that was
it.
it. I had nothing else to say.
Cool,
Yeah.
man.
I mean, you can
What's the weather like in Germany?
The coolest thing about it, honestly, was I didn't realize this when I even sent in my DNA. I didn't realize they map your entire genome, and they're not legally allowed to tell you what genes you have for medical reasons.
They used to, and then now they can't.
And so they can't tell me if I have the gene that's going to give me Alzheimer's for whatever medical reason they can't. But I can look it up, and now
there's a law that can't tell you if you're
there's
sick.
websites now dedicated to like there's a gene Wikipedia, and if you do the work, I can look up all of my genes, and I actually do have the early Alzheimer's gene, but I also have a gene that makes it hard for me to hear people conversations in crowds and in bars, which I have shitty hearing, you know.
Yeah, you do.
And I always thought that was it, but apparently it could also be a genetic.
It's all
thing.
genetic.
I have that gene.
We'll get back to In Living Color in a moment, but I just want to keep talking about genes for a second. There's kind of a bit of concern happening where so many people are doing the 23andMe thing that insurance companies, if they get access to that information and they know that you're predisposed to more like catastrophic
isn't
diseases,
pre-existing conditions not a thing anymore?
Thanks, Obama.
it's an I don't know all the ins and outs.
I can
of
see
it,
that
but
being a
apparently
huge issue.
They can't.
That's not good. That's not. a good
There's no
thing.
way your genes aren't going to be considered private information that the insurance companies...
No, I could see the insurance company fucking you over, if pre-existing conditions is still a thing, but if they're not allowed to use pre-existing conditions,
The problem is 23andMe can now sell your DNA.
yeah,
So-
but I don't mind. Whatever.
Yeah, all right. Well, there you go.
It was worth finding out I was Italian. It was nice to say hi to that fifth
To
cousin
your
in Germany.
fifth cousin in Germany.
It was her grandfather.
Yeah.
I'm not related to him, but he is doing all the 23andMe for the family. I guess.
Oh, really?
He's the one that's
Interesting.
interested in it, and he's just emailing people that are related. He's
Oh.
like, you're related to my granddaughter.
It's like, okay, cool. Bye.
I'm just reading the Wikipedia thing under censorship, and I notice receiving facial ejaculation on there, prison rape.
This is in living color, by the way. This isn't
Yes,
my
let's talk
genome.
We put the Wayans family, I guess, or
This is the in living color article.
oh my god,
Yeah, we're looking at the Wikipedia page for In Living Color.
Yeah, they
Real
had
quick,
some raunchy sketches.
I want to just point out, in general, I think In Living Color has a pretty positive reception. I think people like it. It's a funny show.
I don't know if it holds up.
Didn't they?
I
have
don't
a
know if it holds
reunion
up. I
last
haven't
year?
watched it.
Wasn't there like a reunion show or something?
If there was, I don't know about it. But what I wanted to bring up is the other most famous thing that Keenan Ivory Wayans created is the Scary Movie franchise.
He created that?
He
I thought that was
wrote-
Abrams.
I thought that was the other brothers.
No, they wrote and directed. He directed the first one for sure. I don't know if he directed the
Those are
second.
terrible.
They're not good. I don't like those movies.
No, they're
those are
not.
like, they've gotten worse with the reference
They're
humor.
they're
the
like bad-
knockoffs of
it's like-
Scary
yeah,
Movie.
it's like bad Zucker brother humor, and except raunchier. And then the Zucker brothers took over Scary Movies, and those are the ones
then
that
those-
aren't.
those
horror.
are even
They're-
worse. No,
I would say that 3 and 4 are slightly more watchable.
I mean, I've seen them, but it's been so
It's
long. I just didn't like any of
The
them.
level of humor is just as lame, but at least there's not like dumb semen jokes.
I
Yeah.
will say, I remember when
I
the
want
show
smart semen jokes.
I think it was 95, and the show got canceled. And
That sounds about right. I
I
think it
did
was
think that
94.
was a mistake. They should have left the show on.
Yeah, May '94.
Well,
is
the
when the show
Wayans left
ended.
early.
No, Jim Carrey was not on the very last season,
He definitely left.
and
By the 5th and final season, none of the Wayans family had any
I
involvement.
thought the show was as popular as Saturday Night Live, and Fox just
Jim Carrey stayed. Jim Carrey actually was on the cast the entire time.
Oh, really?
Along with
I
David
think-
Allen
I
Greer
think he
and
was-
Tommy
he
Davis.
was he in the first season too?
Yeah,
guess
he
so.
was.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
he was.
is.
He was definitely
Wow.
on the first. I think I distinctly remember he wasn't on like the last several episodes. He might have been credited for the season.
It says
Yeah.
it says his appearances were limited due to his rising movie
Yeah.
career.
Right.
And when you think they replaced it with Mad TV, and that was it. I don't like Mad TV nearly as much as I have memories of
Yeah.
In Living Color.
Mad TV never latched onto me. I think there were a lot
But
of funny
that-
people who were on it.
Yeah.
But is that
it
still
always just
going?
seemed
Is
like a
Mad
war
TV
on
still
Mad,
on?
Mad TV's over.
It might be having a comeback soon.
Yeah.
But it was like, it always seemed like a watered down SNL.
Right.
We only have 2 minutes left. Real quick, though, there was a attempted revival, according to Wikipedia, in 2011.
yeah.
I remember this, where they were going to have they had Fly Girls. It was basically going to just be In Living Color again.
Yeah, I guess Fox canceled it in early 2013.
I do
Looks
remember
like.
the opening credits were like for me.
Color.
But look at the 2012 logo. It's
exactly
very
the same.
90s.
Yeah.
It's kind of you got to update it. You can't just rehash it. I mean, I know this is pre the 90s nostalgia era. Ironically,
right.
now we have Fuller House on and shit
Yeah.
like that. But
It's interesting. Do you guys remember the show House of Buggin' also? It
Yeah,
was
John
John
Leguizamo's
Leguizamo's version of In Living Color, basically.
a Latino,
That was
or
more
was
of a
it just
Latino
like-
audience.
It
yeah.
was them. It was Fox
I watched
trying
that show
to
too.
fill the void of canceling In Living Color. I really wonder what
It
the
was a very-
motivations were for canceling In Living Color, because they kept trying to fill
Well,
that void with another sketch
if
show.
well, Fox was becoming bigger. Maybe the ratings just didn't have.
I mean, you
the-
said the Wayans brothers
So,
left
I mean,
before the
all
end
they
of
had,
the show.
all they
That
had to
could have
do was
something to do with it.
bring in a new fledgling cast like SNL does.
It could- yeah, they should have
Your
tried-
stars
It
are getting
could have.
famous and they're going on to movie careers. Great, put in new ones. Make
It's
them
also in
stars.
But this was a
Primetime.
primetime show. Is exactly
Yeah.
what I was going to say. SNL is like a late night.
It's
It's,
in a
kind of
safe
its own
spot.
thing.
Yeah.
Like what else are you going to put on Saturday
I
night?
mean,
at
you know,
11:30?
they got rid, SNL got rid of their main cast in like 1980, 81, and they had like 2 years where there was no big. Besides Eddie Murphy, they
Right,
had
until Eddie
nobody.
Murphy and Joe Piscopo.
and it took it up until like
It had
80,
Sweet Chuck from Police Academy.
until
Tim,
that
I
wasn't
can't say his name.
until like 83, 84. So they had like a 3-year period with with a weak cast.
Yeah.
and then they finally got like Mike. They got Christopher Plummer. They got Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Christopher Plummer?
No, they didn't. It wasn't Christopher Plummer.
or not Christopher Plummer.
Christopher Guest.
Christopher Guest.
I was going to say, I don't remember Christopher Plummer.
I get my
That'd be
I
interesting.
get my Christophers mixed
Of
up.
course.
All right,
course.
So unfortunately,
We are about to be out of
we
time.
are about out of time. So
There it is.
That's our In Living Color discussion,
Yeah,
guys.
there that is. Okay, well, we're at the end of the show here.
So,
So-
Nick, since you haven't listened to the show and apparently he didn't even know the name of our podcast network.
Yes, that's true.
So, Nick, what we do now at the end of every show is we all, in a brief sentence or two, discuss what have we learned. So, Nick, what have you learned
from
this
this episode of the
this
podcast?
recording? One sentence. What's one thing you learned?
I guess I got
Take your time.
I learned that. What was it? I mean, I remembered some stuff.
Okay.
There you go.
What did
All
you
right, what'd you
remember?
I remembered that you were doing really well with that one porn star.
There you go.
Thanks. I never
Jack
forgot.
had game once
and
with a woman who has sex
I don't have AIDS. So.
on television.
I don't know. Let me think.
No,
Let
that's
me
good.
think. Something in living color.
No, don't worry
related?
about it. Dan, what, I'm sure you've got lots that you've learned today.
I've learned quite a bit about Nick, but I think mostly what I have learned is that you would go to extreme lengths to make Chris Elliott be the grandfather of your child. What'd you learn today, Jack?
I learned that Jim Carrey is the Garrett Morris of our generation.
I learned something else I just want to point out. I learned that I don't need to be here, and you two could just have a show talking about John McCain and all the other stuff.
That's the
you're
thing,
doing.
though, is we just used up all our best stories.
That's true.
it.
All right, so that was
If
that
it
was the
just-
only episode
If it
of
was
your
just
show.
me and Jack, I would have said, let's talk about living color. But you'd never heard this stuff.
I hadn't.
so-
I hadn't. Well, and I'm sure
That's true. Why would we tell each other things about to talk about things we already both know?
I think that's an interesting
Hey,
idea for a
remember that
podcast.
thing we both did?
That would be like the three of us going, "Hey, remember that time we recorded a podcast and the living color was the topic?"
In
Yeah,
this
I
very
remember it.
room.
That was amazing.
All right, so if you want other content from our show with or without Nick Noga, because you
Yes.
can find him in a few of our episodes, go to weepodcast.com, weepodcast.com. You can check out our Simpsons podcast, worst episode ever.
Yep.
You can find out our Sync Point. You can find our Sync Points DVD commentary series. We did the Simpsons movie, we did Home Alone 2, and we just recently did with Nick Batman.
Batman, 1989. Yep.
So you can find that stuff, and if you want to support us and help us out with our overhead and for paying for all the lawyer fees that Nick
Yes.
is racking up
all
for
the
us.
censorship.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I mean, if somebody's really upset by what I said, I mean, you're just stupid.
All right. Well, if you're stupid and you're suing us and we have to pay for the lawyers, you can support us.
you
Support
just-
us by
You
clicking
just
our
be a
Amazon
rich,
links.
stupid person that wants more money from me.
Nick,
for
we're
some
trying to
reason.
raise money here. Give Dan-
WEpodcast.com. Click those Amazon
Yeah,
links.
fuck you.
you can, so
Nick doesn't get any of that money, just so you know.
any of our $6.
That's just for
no,
us.
Yeah, shop on Amazon like you normally would, and use the links on our website. It really helps.
Yeah.
So I guess that's about it. If you want to find out more from us, Nick, I think fortunately for the world, does not have a Twitter handle, does not communicate with the outside world. But
I
we
wish
should-
the best.
Let's thank Nick. We didn't
Yes,
thank him at
thank
the
you,
top
Nick.
of the show. He gave us, it was his equipment that we used for the first year and change of We Studios before we could actually afford our own equipment, thanks to you guys.
Yep.
So thank you, Nick, you helped launch the show.
Yeah.
So a huge, and you gave us good advice
you're
about audio
welcome, you
recording
know.
and
I
stuff
might
like
even
that.
say you're an American hero.
I'm just hoping that I'll be
I
able to
wouldn't go
leech
that
off
far.
you guys one day, and you know,
we'll
I
see.
did.
No.
I did it out of
We're,
self-interest.
we're gonna be
really.
on the way. We're gonna be on the way to the podcast awards, the potties,
Yeah.
and Nick's like, "I'm gonna get in the limo with those guys," but then Sidney McCain's gonna drag him into a conversation about the UN, and we're just gonna leave without you.
If we get hit it off real big, we'll give Nick his own show, Burning Bridges with Nick.
I still think I'm one of the nicer people that exists.
Again, it's because you have no filter, for better or worse.
Yes, I
Usually
think-
it's
I
for the
think that's
better.
accurate.
Like, I don't like inconveniencing people.
There you go.
So,
All right, so I'm on Twitter. I'm at Then Dan Says.
I'm at Jackie No Breaks. So thank you very much for being on the show, Nick. We'll have you on again, maybe at some point when
Maybe,
we
we'll
can, when we
see.
can afford the lawyers. And no, we'll have you on again. Thank you so much, Nick.
I would love to see that trial. We have We the People versus Nick Noga, one compensatory
This is
Anyway.
evidence.
Anyway.
one.
punitive damages for the boner comments.
Thank you, Nick. My name is Jack.
And my name is Dan, and we'll see you in another decade.
Maybe.